nice to have trucks that fit on the bench again. Welcome back to the Skilled Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's episode 12 of What's on the Bench Weekly. And if you are not familiar with this show, it's where I take you through a tour of all the things and projects and lingering stuff that's been on the bench, or will be on the bench, or should be on the bench. It gives me an opportunity to share some of my projects with you and give you an update of what's been happening. This week on What's on the Bench, I'm taking a look at the CUCV. This is a GCM C-Max chassis with a Mod 19 bed extension kit. And while some of these kits out there extend the existing RC four-wheel drive Blazer and make it into a pickup, this whole bed is all new. It's all one project, and it's a 3D printed beauty. It looks frigging amazing, and I'm super happy with it. It's so big, it doesn't fit. I thought I just said these are all projects that fit on the bench again. This mostly fits on the bench. It's a long wheelbase, long pickup bed. But it's starting to look pretty good. I've now printed out the Mod 19 rear bumper, which is accurate for a CUCV. It's really nice. I printed this out on my Prusa, not on the resin printer, and I think it turned out pretty darn good. It looks amazing. There's even some nice diamond plate on the top panel. It looks really, 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 really good. So really happy with how that turned out. Primed, still needs obviously a lot of paint, but there's a lot of small details on the CUCV that are different from other pickup trucks, especially when you're dealing with the Canadian version. The Canadians did have CUCVs, although we used the earlier grille that had just the round headlights, not the square headlights like most of you might be familiar with. There were also a lot of different paint schemes. There were gray ones, so I could be done, but we're not going to do that. It will be a basic camo pattern. I think we only had a 2-color camo, which I'm going to do some more research on. If you are at all familiar with CUCVs, especially the Canadian ones, post a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And if they are CUCV related, I will definitely answer them because I'm looking for as much detailed photos as I can. Canadian ones are kind of sparse on the internet. There are a few though, so if you've got more, by all means, I'd love to hear from you. A couple other things have happened. On the front grille, you may notice some things have changed. There's now a blackout light. There's a power coupler and a second power coupler. I think there were 2 on the Canadian ones. I've seen some conflicting front grills that had other cutouts as well. This one, for example. So I'm kind of thinking this is close enough for jazz. There will be a metal brush guard that has to be added. I am going to see if I can make the stock front bumper work. It's pretty close to the ones used on the CUCVs. It obviously needs that whole brush guard built in. I will make that out of metal and probably just, instead of braze, I probably will just do a solder because I'll probably use brass. Brass stock is lighter, easier to work with, especially at this scale. But that's going to look pretty good, I think. A couple other minor changes, or minor additions, I guess. I've added both of the rear gas tank caps now. Those are accurate in the spot where they should be. Canadian ones had 2 gas tanks, so lucky me. There's one on both sides. Also, you might notice, or maybe you didn't, you should, this is the original door handle, which does not have much in the way of detail or accuracy. Both of those things are missing from these. So I popped them out and I designed and 3D printed my own. These are much more accurate to the real deal. Had to do a little bit of filling behind because there were 2 gigantic holes where this old door handle used to go. So those have been filled. These were primed and printed on my Elegoo Mars 3. And I printed these on the Elegoo Mars 3 resin printer, and I think they turned out pretty good. Same with these front details on the grille. Those are all resin printed parts as well. Nice little bit of a combination of things going on with the CUCV. There's traditional FDM printing, there's resin 3D printing as well, and then there's just good old-fashioned styrene work. A little bit of everything on this one. Lots more to do, of course, but some significant progress. I think that engine compartment is going to be the thing that takes probably the most time. That and interior. I do want to do a more accurate interior. I'll use the dashboard from the RC four-wheel drive kit, but the seats, I think these were bench seats. Again, you'll have to help me. If you know, post down below. Kind of like that rhyme, that's good. The mirrors also from the RC four-wheel drive Blazer body are completely inaccurate. They're way too big. Luckily for me, Turks and Jerps, or pardon my noob, also redesigned those mirrors. He sent those files to me. I'm gonna print them on, I might actually print those in resin as well. They will need a little metal bar to connect the mount to the actual mirror, but we'll figure that out as we get to it. Okay, on to the next thing for What's on the Bench Weekly, episode 12. Now I'm going to introduce this one, and then we're going to cut to older footage with me wearing a different hat and a different shirt, because when I originally shot this, I was told by FMS, go ahead and post it, it's out there, it's fine, and then they didn't release it. So I was like, well, I'm not going to put it out there if it's not officially released, because I don't do spoilers or early releases anymore. Roll that footage. Now it's What's on the Bench, of course, and usually this is projects that I'm working on, but as luck might have it, there's something new on the bench today, and it's the new FMS 1/18 scale Chevrolet Apache 6x6, which is admittedly an odd choice. But I do like 6x6s. I've built a lot of them, I've modified a bunch, I've added tracks to them. So, you know, here's the newest model from FMS, and we might as well just unbox it right here, right now. Oh, look at this. They've changed all kinds of things. You can see on the side of the box where they've put stickers over some of the claims they made. I wonder what those claims were. Now I'm really curious. Now it says 9-gram steering servo. What did it say before? Metal Gears steering servo. Well, I guess it's not Metal Gears anymore. Rigid metal girder. I wonder what it says under this super long sticker. What could be under here? See, this is the sort of hard-hitting stuff you'll only see on What's on the Bench Weekly. High strength integrated nylon frame. I think they probably meant rigid metal girder. And there was something lost in translation. Okay, let's get it out of the box and see what we've got here. Instruction manual, of course, that comes with every FMS. This nice styrofoam case to keep it stable and free of any damage in shipping. And there we go. We've got the transmitter. You've seen these before. All of their 18 scale models have this same transmitter. A reasonably good transmitter. Small, but easy to manipulate with one hand, which is exactly how I like it. Wow, nice hard body. Wow, it's a little bit bigger than I thought. Uh-oh, mine came broken. It looks like we lost a link here. That should be easy enough to replace. Oh, except it's stripped out. That's a problem that we can fix with CA later. All right, here is the truck. You also get, what do you get another front bumper for? Oh, that's a rear bumper. Okay. Chevrolet body. This is the Apache. It is licensed, so that's cool. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Chevrolet Apache body. It is a 6x6, which I can honestly say I've never seen in all of my days, but certainly looks pretty good. Front, it's very bouncy, as you would expect. These are just friction shocks, not oil. Does the tailgate go down? No, it does not. Looks pretty decent. However, the wheelbase on the back looks a bit weird. Maybe it's just my eyes, but it looks a little strange. Holy bouncy, that is cool. Do the doors open? No, they do not. Is there an interior? Yes. Is the steering wheel massively oversized? It is. But there is a dashboard in there. Nice plastic mirrors, which will get broken off probably instantly. Hood opens, I do believe. Yes. And in there we've got our battery, ESC, switch for everything. It looks like your standard sort of FMS model, great detailed hard body, which does look very good. That's a bit tight. Underneath we've got metal chassis rails, brushed motor, 4-link front, 4-link rear ×2, and some friction shocks. Lights, it looks like there are lights. Not the best undercarriage, but certainly hides all of the mechanicals, which is always good to see. I'm not too familiar if FMS has done a 6x6 before. I believe they have. So this is probably the exact same chassis and electronics underneath and just a brand new body. Lucky for all of us, the cab is separate from the bed. So if you wanted to put this on maybe a 4x4 chassis, you probably could do that and make yourself a new bed, maybe a flat bed. Something like that could be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing that. In the mirrors, it looks like there are little bits of glass, which is pretty cool. I will say that is a nice little addition. And overall, a decent looking truck. Let's get a battery in it and see how it runs. First run. So no instant reverse, not surprised by that. Certainly those locked 6x6 axles are making it steer less. But you do get the light kit, you do get turn signals, which I think are probably fairly reasonable for this truck. It is quite bouncy. The reverse lights, the brake lights, only come on when you go in reverse, not when you hit brake, because there's no brake per se. Yeah, it's about on par with what FMS does with all of its 18th scale models. The body does look very nice. They did an excellent job on that. I like all the attention to detail in the grille, and the warmer headlights I think really help sell it. The glass looks great. Those are hard curves to recreate, so they did a really nice job there. And it just looks really, really nice for this era of Chevy. I would have loved to have seen it with a regular pickup on a 4x4 chassis as opposed to this 6x6. I think it's a bit of a novelty and isn't really the sort of thing that I would typically look for. Despite my love of 6x6s, it does look a bit comical, and I would have loved to have seen it as a 4x4. In fact, I would like to see if I could make this into a 4x4 using one of their 4x4 chassis. But yeah, it's still a very nice looking hard body model, which I think given the right amount of weathering and detailing and perhaps a different chassis could totally be something that I could get my head around. Otherwise though, it is pretty nice. Thank you to FMS for sending it my way. I do appreciate it. Maybe in the future we'll get a little bit of outdoor running with it. But for now, this is what's on the bench, not what's in the garden. Which is where I think these smaller 18th scale trucks really kind of fit. They fit into the garden sort of RCing if you are outside, if you have a backyard area where you can play. These are right at home there. And that's all I've got to say about that. All right, the Bronco's back on the bench, and you're probably saying to yourself, why? Why does this thing keep showing up? It's old news. Nobody cares. Incorrect. People care. I'm adding the new CC hand printed interior into this body. This was made just for this truck, for this body specifically. So let's take it out of the bag and start to install it. I've always wanted an interior in this truck, and this CC hand interior is going to facilitate that perfectly. It was designed for the TRX4 Bronco and designed for the TRX4. So everything should still fit, and the way it's supposed to install is that it installs directly into the body and not to the chassis. So that way nothing gets disturbed. You can take the body off, keep your clips, everything, and still use it as normal, which is good. Makes it easy. Let's see how easy it is. Now right away it's mega annoying. CC hand does not seem to include any instructions with the actual interior. So You get this great looking interior plate with all this nice detail. And then I think I may have some parts missing because, like, I guess maybe oh no, I guess not, maybe not. There are some like shiny plastic bits that I presume are supposed to be the screens, but there's no decals or anything with them. So I don't really know how that's gonna work. You do get a steering wheel, which I don't know, also appears to be, oh no, I guess that works, okay. And then some headrests as well for the back of the seats. But there are no instructions. You get some hardware, you get some mounting pieces, you get a rear tray for the back to cover that whole area, but no clue how to put it together. So we're gonna go to the internet, see if that helps. And if it does, I'll be sure to put a link in the description where you can pick up those instructions so you can install this as well without having to follow this video, which is like walking through mud. Okay, and a few screws later, that full interior is now in. You only have to replace 6 screws total. There are a few more that you add to the kit, but overall, this was a pretty easy install. There are instructions on the CC Hand webpage, and I'll be sure to link to that down below, like I said. But everything fits as if it were intended to be there. They did a really good job of working around the light distribution block for the Pro Scale lighting kit, which you can see right there. They've actually left enough space there. And there's a hole for your antenna. So they really did their homework, and plenty of room for the battery tray. As long as you're using a stock one, it shouldn't be a problem. Let's see how good CC Hand did on their actual measurements. And we'll get a good look at the inside of that interior as well. And there-ish. Does seem a little bit tighter under there, but it's probably just the wiring. Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, like it was meant to be. No, everything's fitting really well. In fact, you know, now that we have that whole interior in there, it might be worth finding a driver figure and getting rid of some of this tint. Maybe just on the front windows though. All you need to do for something like this is have a nice sharp number 11 hobby blade, which this one is not. I go through a new one every few days, it seems. So all we're gonna do here is we're gonna trim really closely to the actual window trim. Trim that area one more time. Okay, now we just pick away at the edge here. And it's rare that a sticker will come off all in one go. Very, very rare indeed. But you can already see the difference that's going to make. You can already see much more clearly inside and actually get to view that new interior that you just added. A little bit of residues come on, stuck on there, but if you go back and just kind of give it another quick little stick down, you usually get all that residue right off. And there you go. Now you can see nice and clearly through that window. Instantly makes a huge difference. Looks so much better. You get to see that whole interior in there now. And now I think we need to put a driver in. I don't have any handy, but if you're ever curious about where I get some of my drivers, check out ClassicTVToys.com. They're not the best looking or most detailed, but they're the right size for most of our trucks. The 8-inch guys are pretty much perfect for 1/9, 1/10 scale. They will look superb. You may have to cut their hips out. That's fine though. Anyway, that's a new interior for the 2021 TRX4 Bronco. I think it looks fantastic and just really adds more realism to an already great looking body. On to the next thing. And finally this week, one more thing that doesn't really fit on the bench again. It's like a theme going on around here lately. If you haven't caught it already, the SCX6 Honcho is out and is amazing. I'm really, really thrilled with this release. It's so much better than the JLU, and the JLU was already amazing. It really is that good. Check out the link right up here to the whole review, run video, etc. You get a good idea of all the things that have changed on the Honcho versus the JLU. Now, I've gone ahead and added the new Proline Super Swamper TSL. It's just an awesome looking tire. It looks so good on the Honcho as well. And I'm using Proline's Method aluminum wheel faces. These are awesome. They look so good on here. And just kind of makes the whole truck a little more aggressive. Now, the reason it's on the bench, this body, while it looks like the traditional Honcho, is actually a lot closer to the Proline metric body that Knight Customs designed for Proline. So with that in mind, if you look at the My Mini Factory page for Knight Customs, you will find a ton of Proline metric body accessories. So far, I have only printed the mirrors, which are, they look huge in your hand, but they fit perfectly on the body. I scaled these up to 161.5% as per Hemi-Storm's instructions for the JLU, and they work perfectly. You didn't see them because this doesn't fit on the bench very well. There we go. Still ridiculous. But that's going to fit perfectly on the side window there, and I think it looks awesome. It's maybe not something you would need to have mirrors. Maybe you don't need to have mirrors on a truck this off-roady. But I think it'll look pretty good. Once here, there we go. Yeah. That's pretty much right on, isn't it? I think there might be a snorkel. There's definitely a roof rack. I'm curious, though. I have not looked into if any of the grills will work. I mean, it's technically the same body. They might. Maybe you've got a printer at home. Maybe you can give that a try. Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, I love reading through that feedback. So do it. Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to end What's on the Bench episode 12. This has been very fun. Lots of nice progress on projects. And I think that's really all you'll ever see on this show. Progress and then completed trucks. Those usually come in other videos, though. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.